Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a wonderful Wednesday and a great week so far. Today, we're going to be delivering a different kind of video, and I'm going to be tackling the negative sentiment surrounding Cardano, and I'm going to be hopefully reigniting that fire within you that I'm sure you all had at one point until we saw this price action. So stick around, guys. This is going to be a good video. We're going to be looking at a number of things. We're going to be playing a clip from Charles Hoskinson around about a year ago, just under a year, where he talks about when does Cardano realize its potential. I'm also going to be telling you guys why you should be absolutely stoked to be here in this moment in history as an investor in the crypto space. I have often said, and when we first started the channel over a year ago now, it's one of the first things that we looked at. We looked at how essentially Bitcoin back here, before we had even gone on to make new all-time highs, ladies and gentlemen, was just following Amazon. And the reason we did this was because there is a kindred with the internet and the companies that came out of it, and blockchain and some of these cryptos. And this is what I want to start this video off with. Now, with the internet, some of the stocks that came out of it did very well. Some of them are still here today and they impact the world massively. Some of them are the largest companies in the world, such as Amazon, Microsoft and Apple. But within this dot-com boom, and this is the 1990s, guys, when we had the dot-com, 1999 when we had the dot-com boom, a lot of these dot-com stocks went up. Basically, people could just put .com at the end of a word, go public and make lots of money doing it. It's what led to the whole kind of crash, because it's completely unsustainable, and many of these companies, they had no real value behind them. They were just kind of caught up in the craze. But the companies that lasted, the companies that had real worth, are still here today. And not only are they still here today, guys, they are some of the biggest companies in the world in terms of market cap, in terms of employees, etc., etc. Now, why am I bringing all this up? The reason I'm bringing this up is because I think Cardano is one of those companies back in the 1999. I really do. It's why I'm so passionate and talk constantly on this channel about it. I hope you guys have been following the market updates. What I am going to do after I've kind of explained this point is get into sort of the more short term, where we're kind of at. We've been doing a lot of cross market analysis, which other YouTubers just don't simply do, where we're looking at things like the FTSE 100, the S&P, oil, and we're really trying to show you that markets right now are very correlated with global events and global finance. Certainly in a video we put out earlier today, we looked at Jerome Powell and some of his statements made, and how this may affect markets as a whole, and we're certainly seeing that. But back to the point that I'm making, one reason I'm so passionate about Cardano is because I think they're a company that's here to stay. I think they've done things the right way. 4 years now Cardano has been running without a single outage and over 20 million transactions. It's a huge achievement, and this is a blockchain that's been built right. Now, like I say, in the dot-com, this is Amazon, this is Microsoft, and this is Apple. We saw this boom and bust where everything essentially went up. In the same way that right now, crypto's the craze. We've actually seen this previously in the crypto. If we go and we take a look at the historical snapshot, what I'll do is just go back to, we'll just go back maybe as far as 2017, where we had our last bull run. And I'll show you just how many coins you guys will not recognize, certainly the ones of you that are new to the crypto space. Let's say November the 12th, just to be quick. Monero, Neo, you might know these coins, but a lot of these have disappeared. And this is the important thing with, these coins are still about, guys. Let me make that very clear. Some of them anyway, but a lot of them have completely dropped off the face of the earth. And you're going to see a similar thing take place when the prices, we will have boom and bust cycles within crypto, but the ones that have real worth, and Cardano absolutely is one of those cryptos, are going to be around for a long time, and they're going to impact the world in the same way that Amazon, Microsoft and Apple did. And I am going to do some more analysis, because we are now turning towards the lengthening cycle theory. We have been over the past couple of months, certainly with how things have played out, and due to the kind of landscape, macroeconomics is playing a huge role, and we're a maturer market. We're not so tethered to the halvening, which happens every 4 years, and kind of following it to a T. There's a lot more pressures, inflationary pressures at play here. So we are going to look at maybe the possibility that we go on some sort of a growth trajectory like this. And this is really why I'm so excited. Of course, this is Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple. And during this time period, the stocks that really had no worth, the dot-com stocks that had no worth, disappeared. So it pays you to back the right horse, and that's what I believe Cardano is in. And in terms of where we are now to where we're going, we haven't even started yet. We've got smart contracts are live. PAB is looking to be implemented soon. I was listening to a number of different. I've spent 4 hours traveling today around Scotland. I spent 4 hours actually listening to podcasts on different projects launching, apps, protocols launching on top of Cardano. Cardano was one. How many of you guys knew that you could actually stake your Cardano and interact with the Cardano protocol? So you earn your staking. The farming opportunities are going to be huge. But this is just the start. There's a bigger vision at play here that involves mass adoption in the same way that the internet did. And back when the internet first came out, 25 years on, here are the worst ever predictions about the internet. Back in the 90s, many experts didn't think the internet would live to see the first, let alone the 25th year internet day. The internet bar, and this is an article, we see the same skepticism with this technology that we saw back then in relation to the internet. The truth in no online database will replace your daily newspaper. No CD-ROM can take the place of a competent teacher, and no computer network will change the way government works. How wrong were they, ladies and gentlemen? A lot of the criticism, a lot of the hate is going to look very similar to some of the things here. And it goes on and it lists a few of them. I'm sure you guys can find this sort of stuff for yourself. So now we've got that out of the way, let's jump into markets as a whole. We're looking a little bit more chirpy today. We did say this was going to be very correlated with the traditional financial world, as we've kind of merged with them, certainly with everything that's going on at the moment. And you can see that that's absolutely true. When this opened, the FTSE, we saw a huge uptick. We also saw one with oil. Oil got slammed down again. And of course, crypto acted today accordingly. And I did actually update people on Twitter and in the earlier video that we were likely to see continuation today to the upside due to how the kind of financial landscape was going. If you missed my earlier video, it's well worth a watch, because we go into some of Jerome Powell's statements. We talk about inflation. We talk about the fact that the Federal Reserve may not be as stupid as they are deemed to look, in a sense that there's a plan that they kind of have at play, and they would rather, underestimating your opponent is one of the worst mistakes you can make. And I would argue that these people aren't dumb. They know what they're doing. They're just kind of passing it off as they don't really understand it. Well, if I can understand it, and you guys can, I'm sure they can as well, being in the kind of position of power. So Cardano is really just following. We have said that Bitcoin is in a similar structure to what it previously went through, and you're just playing that out today, ladies and gentlemen. And I do expect us to go on and make new all-time highs and certainly continue upwards, certainly within this rising triangle that we've had for a while. Had this at play for a while since we really started to reject. Cardano is following suit. And this lackluster price action, the reason for this video, few reasons for it. One, I was listening to some of the protocols that were coming out on Cardano, and another reason was, the sentiments really waned due to the price action, and it just does not dictate. Remember, Amazon went from $113 all the way down to $6. That was the best buying opportunity, and every single pullback within this emerging technology has been a buying opportunity. Same with Microsoft, same with a number of others out there. But the ones that don't have any real worth, the pullbacks aren't there for buying, they're there for getting out on. So what I want to do now, guys, we have looked at traditional markets. Cardano does look to be recovering. We are going to do some more TA. One thing that I really like, and I showed you this yesterday, is the RSI 4ADA. Can you see what you've really got at play here? And where you come down to you've got this kind of upward leg, this sell-off, this pivotal point here, before you then start the next journey. And you're there today, ladies and gentlemen, ready to embark on the next journey, the next part of this ball run. We are going to get into some more ADA analysis in depth. We are going to be re-looking at an end-of-year price prediction and going into where we actually think it, potentially could go. We're still following this macro Elliott wave theory that we have for it, which is going to see us embark on the third wave within our fifth macro Elliott wave theory. So we are going to be getting into that. We're going to be paying attention to these markets. We did say the S&P would open and probably follow suit with the FTSE and oil, but oil's of course sold off since then. And the Dixie, the dollar, is in indecision, which is kind of permissioning Bitcoin to run. So what I want to do now, guys, is play this clip of Charles really talking about the potential and how we're nowhere near there yet. And then we will sort of wrap this video up. So I'll play the clip, guys. I'll give a little bit of commentary, and then I'll love and leave you.
That's wonderful, amazing, and magical. And I was thinking about Cardano. You know, there's all these great features that are coming. Smart contracts are coming, and we're building this big governance stack. And, you know, we've done amazing work in the design of the system. And we have a very clear roadmap of how to win and kick the ass of all the other cryptocurrencies and become number one. Great. And that's commercial. But what's the soul? What's the experience? What really tells you that Cardano has done something unique, magical, and special? As many of you know, I'm a big fan of Kiva. I go and use it all the time. And every time I do an AMA now, I give out loans. I've already done 5 from the AMAs. And I think to myself, for me, the moment I know that Cardano has truly made a difference and changed the world is if I can open up an application, just like I do Kiva at the moment, and I can have a direct relationship with someone somewhere in the world who's not doing so well. And I can actually give them, not as a gift, not as charity, but a loan to them. And they pay me back. And I can do that again and again and again. And I win more than I lose. That, to me, would mean success for Cardano. Why? Because so much has to happen for us to get to that moment. You have to build an identity system. We have to make sure that that metadata system is where it needs to go. There needs to be a proper payment system that can work in all places, including these areas with intermittent internet. With identity, you have to have reputation. You have to have social structures form. You have to be able to give them an asset in that jurisdiction they live that they can spend as if it was the local currency. So stable coins have to form. Then you have to actually get paid back and be able to profit from that, make it a recurring circle. If that's possible, everything is possible. DEXs will be here, oracles will be here, economies will be run on this. And because the interest rates can be higher than what we see in the negative interest rate world and what we see in America, corporations will use this mechanism as a treasury management function, either directly or through structured financial products. And what does that mean? That alone means we will witness one of the greatest wealth transfers in human history from the developed rich world to the developing not so rich world, because not of charity, but because it makes business common sense. If you're a CFO of an organization and you're looking at an asset that has a greater than 90% repayment rate, an asset that has sovereign guarantees or insurance behind it or people to offset risk and returns above 10% or 15%, why wouldn't you go and put 5% of your company's treasury in it, 10% of your company's treasury? That one moment alone would mean hundreds of billions of dollars every year of direct foreign credit flows into these countries for the first time ever. It creates Pan-African and transnational currencies that mean you no longer need central banks. It creates tons of micro businesses that are cash in and cash out. And to offset risk, markets form, insurance forms, all kinds of things form to trade these instruments for people to get liquidity as people pay back and build back. Then if we're willing to give a loan, why wouldn't we be willing to invest in a business? The micro IPO, ushered in by the security token, that is the logical next step once that's been established. The very same thing that gives a credit score, a credit rating to someone that enough to convince you to give them $100, $200, $300 would convince you that maybe you should be an angel investor in their business for $10,000, $15,000. And we can securitize it so individually it can be $20, $30. Why? Is it charity? No. The cost of running a business in Ethiopia is 10 to 50 times less than the cost of running a business in San Francisco. And it doesn't necessarily equate to 10 to 50 times less profit. That's the key. A whole new world opens up.
I'll just, one reason I wanted to make this video was because I was listening to Cardano, and I was listening to a number of other protocols. Blockademia was one, and they were talking about how they can verify on the blockchain documents such as the will, somebody's will, all this stuff. The possibilities that are at our fingertips right now, guys, are endless, and we are exceptionally early. And to be honest with you, the sentiment does not reflect that, because people are only really focused in the short term and what's going on. And I understand that, but there is something far, far, far greater at hand here than I think many people realize. It's why we brought up the Amazon stocks and the .com stocks. I'm going to keep letting it play, but I hope you guys are getting the message, and we will wrap this video up after. I'm going to try and make sure it's not too long. I know I ramble on a lot.
Once this infrastructure is in place. So then we ask ourselves, how long on the horizon is this? As we open up Africa this year, next year, and the coming years, all of that infrastructure is being wired in. If not from us, then from WMC and the micro ISP model that they have. If not from them, from Starlink with Elon Musk. If not for them, dozens of others who are bringing connectivity to everyone in Africa. Within the next 10 years, over 80% of the population of Africa will be online with reliable high-speed connections. And within the next 10 years, over 90% of the people of Africa will have supercomputers in their pockets, just from cell phone upgrading. They have the computing resources, the baseline connectivity, and innovation in things like the ATM markets and so forth mean that microbanks are super easy to establish. And what we're doing as an industry with stablecoins, those lessons, best practices, and ways of building things will fundamentally transform the whole notion of stablecoins and volatility to a point where very safe assets with a high degree of assurance not only form, but become global standards upon which people to use. So that baseline infrastructure, the next 24 to 36 months, is being rolled out. In our case, through push models, with government deals, and consumer products with pull models that we'll be rolling out in 2022, which means we will bring tens of millions, eventually hundreds of millions of people into the Cardano ecosystem from these places, first with identity, then with utilities, perhaps a supply chain, perhaps a property ledger. It depends on the deal, depends on the situation. But once they're in, they have a wallet, they have an identity, and they can begin constructing a reputation. And then it's quite trivial to start talking about how do we take what Kiva has accomplished, as great a company as it is, and turn it into a peer-to-peer lending protocol that we can put right into the roots of this infrastructure. And the rest will be done by human greed, not charity. People simply want to make money. And the greatest inventions in mankind are when you can align a good outcome with people's self-interest. Every time you do that, we all win, because you don't rely on people to be safe.
I'll leave it there. I'll leave a link to this video in the description. That was a lot longer than I had anticipated playing, but it's just such a good... This video was from March last year. It, for some reason, came into my head. I remember watching it back then, and I just thought, you know what? Let's remind people of what's going on here. Something far greater than I think many of you realise. I think many of you do realise it, and that's why you're here, and that's why you're hodling. My plan for Cardano is to net accumulate by whatever strategy possible for the future, because I think just like Amazon, just like Microsoft, just like Apple, way back when everyone was doubting them and everyone was unsure, Cardano is going to be a real crypto for the future. It's going to be here to stay. And just on his point on greed, why do you think traditional financial bodies, vehicles are getting into crypto now? Because the yield in the traditional financial world just isn't there. It's the same reason that BlackRock held Evergrande stock, because they have to go further and further afield. So what's going to really drive this market is money. And when people see the fruits of this market, they will ape into it. And in terms of where we are right now to where we're going, remember this. I hate to use this phrase because another very influential YouTuber uses it, but time is absolutely on your side, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you enjoyed the content, like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and I'll catch you all in the next YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen.